Good morning, everyone, and we're hoping that you are safe and sound at this moment. Here is the very latest following that massive earthquake that we had earlier this morning in South Central. It was felt all throughout the communities.
Tracy, can you hear us, and what are you seeing?
Hi, guys. I hope you can hear me. We are right over that area near Cluna where the road has collapsed away. Traffic has been diverted, so both lanes are moving on the other highway, on the southbound lane. And it is major damage to that road. You can see that one of the lanes is completely fallen away, as well as the exit ramp has fallen away.
As you can see behind me, this off-ramp just absolutely collapsed. DOT tells us that the ground beneath the road here liquefied and pushed the berm out, and the road simply sunk down. Now, there were occupants in that vehicle. I spoke to them earlier. They walked away. They were fine. They were on their way to the airport, headed to California. They seemed in good spirits despite the overwhelming damage. So the DOT is warning folks to please stay away from the area.
I'm at the emergency command center at JBear,
Okay.
And I did just issue the verbal declaration of disaster. We received a number of calls from the White House about the earthquake. They asked if we wanted to request federal assistance. I accepted that.
If you tune into the radio, you'll hear people are talking about which gas stations are open, and I think people are flocking to the stations that are open. You could see people honking. They're just trying to get to a pump and not succeeding.
Right now we have a AWWU crew out here who's trying to fix this water line break over here. This is just down the hill from the jail. Now, I want you to look at, so you see that's in the middle of the road. You can see the water coming up through there. But then just below that, there's a really rather large crack in the road that leads us over here to the sidewalk. And I'm going to have Leah pan down, my photographer, so we can see this crack that goes from the road onto the sidewalk, comes through here, and just really leads over to this building. This is a church. We spoke with the owners just a little while ago about this damage. All of these cracks in the sidewalk that you see, they say that all of this is brand new. This is just from this earthquake. 2 huge windows smashed out, as well as damage onto the ceiling.
Tracy, do you see anything? Oh, they're right there. There's some damage right along the road we can see from here.
Yes, we're seeing some major dropping of the ground off the edge of the highway, and then right on the overpass, there's a pretty distinct, not quite as dramatic as what we saw near Cluna and Mirror Lake, but this crack in the pavement that runs pretty much along one of the lanes, and obviously you can't have people driving over it.
Channel 2 field crews are gathering video of the damages across the city, including this house fire. This is on C Street north of Diamond Boulevard and is being called a total loss. AFD says the cause is not known, but that the earthquake this morning likely contributed to the origin.
Channel 2 caught up with a woman whose husband's car was hit by that landslide while he was on his way to town, and here's what she had to say.
But he was at McHugh, and the rocks came down and they hit the side of our car, and they I guess went through the windshield of the car in front of him and got the guy's hand. But he was able to turn around, and so he's made it all the way back. So we're just waiting to get through here.
It's important to note that we're still having aftershocks here, so please remain safe, be vigilant, and keep looking at KETU.com for any warnings. Once again, the latest, the tsunami warnings have been canceled for now, and also the airport is open, but still call your airline before your flight. Over at Ted Stevens International, we do have some more information on that.
Our initial response is to basically lock down the airport, understand what's going on, and then reactivate it as we can get it along. We're in the process right now of going through system by system and re-energizing that. So we are in the process right now of processing passengers, but it is one of those things where delays are going to be here for a little bit until we get everything back up and running.
This earthquake was 5 to 7 miles located north of Anchorage and some 28 miles deep. So in contrast, the 1964 earthquake, a very major earthquake, was 9.2. I was around for that earthquake. I do remember that, even though I was very young. I was outside with my mom. You could see the ground actually moving. You could see the trees kind of shaking as a wave would come over. I don't know if anyone has experienced those types of scenes today.
ASD is saying if you're able to pick up your children, if you already haven't, if it's safe for you to do so, pick up your children. So they're still assessing the damages at schools. We've heard of some minor damage. So far, nothing major over there.
No, goodness.
But it's good to have the children at home if it's a safe place for them to be.
We're at the State Operations Center. We're in the basement of the State National Guard building. Next door is are the uniformed soldiers. Basically, they're taking all the assessments here from the railroad, which is closed, to the pipeline, to the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, which is closed.
We have felt numerous waves of aftershocks since the initial 7.0 earthquake at 8:29 this morning. And we just did a few moments ago, still feeling the studio shake a bit.
Quite a bit of damage around South Central Alaska, from a landslide on the Glen Highway to bottles knocked off store shelves. It's quite a mess to clean up, and you can send us your pictures and videos for air on Channel 2 Goodness. And of course, everyone, that's incredible.
We are now going to go right to the Emergency Operations Center with the very latest on the 7.1 magnitude quake and what you need to know. Jill Burke is standing by.
Overwhelm the phone lines. We know that some cell towers are not working. We even here at the EOC have had difficulty getting out, so the more that you can stay off of the phone lines, texting is a much smarter and easier way to get to your family and friends because it uses up less bandwidth.
Mayor Berkowitz, you had mentioned you felt that people responded with great character today.
I think the community rose to the occasion. I think we should be proud of that as the people of Anchorage, the people of South Central. I mean, oftentimes you see a disaster like this happen and chaos results. We acted as if we knew what we had to do, and we do, because we're prepared, we're resilient, and we look after one another.
From Anchorage to D.C., this is the talk of the town, and it's a big talk on Capitol Hill where our Alaska delegation is, and we'll take you to that conference right now.
Welcome, and we've got the 100% of the Alaska delegation here today to talk about a what I call natural disaster in the state of Alaska. And we're quite pleased we can report there's been no deaths at this time that we know of. I talked to my daughter. She says, Daddy, it's like someone threw a bomb in my house, but I'm happy because I'm here to clean it up. And to me, that means more than anything else. But we've been in the communication with FEMA. We'll be in communication with the governor and the new governor too, and see what we can do to do it. And that's about all I have to say other than questions. But my two senators would like to address you and give their outside of it. But we're here as a team.
We are now going over to Jay Bear, where Governor Walker is about to speak about this emergency situation throughout South Central.
Well, this morning, Alaska experienced another significant earthquake. 8:29 this morning. I think it's been upgraded to about a 7.2. It was significant, very significant, very concerning. We have a lot to be thankful for. We have not had the loss of life that other locales will have had in our world with this size of an earthquake. Building codes mean something, inspections mean something, and the response that we've had. I think the best way to put it, it's been a 7.2 earthquake. Our response was a 10.
It's Governor Bill Walker wrapping up a press conference you saw live here on Channel 2 News. And one of, I thought his key quotes was something that I think a lot of us were thinking today. The governor saying, this had a bite to it that was not comfortable. And the governor adding, I thought this might be the big one. A lot of us felt that way this morning at about 8:30 when a 7.0 earthquake rocked the entire Anchorage area from the city down to Girdwood, the Kenai Peninsula, up to the Matsu Valley, shaking our sense of confidence, our sense of security. I know a lot of us felt a bit of panic this morning when this all hit, but as the governor and Mayor Ethan Berkowitz pointed out, Alaskans responded in the best traditions of the state of Alaska, helping out their neighbors, making sure that they were okay, checking for any damage around their homes, and trying to remain calm even under these very, very difficult situations. Tell us a little bit more about that conversation. What did they describe to you as to what it was like when this hit and their car sank down in that roadway?
You know, honestly, Mike, they seem to be in pretty good spirits for someone who fell into a sinkhole this morning. Like I said, you know, it was kind of a slow motion. They just slowly sank down in on top of a piece of pavement. No real damage to the car, and thankfully neither of the passengers in the car were injured.
You are a newcomer to Alaska. Like many of us, you moved up here from the lower 48. Hank was born and raised in South Mississippi, a great part of the country. And I'm daring to guess this is your first time you've been through an earthquake. So what do you think?
You know, that's a pretty good guess, Mike. Actually, I'm from hurricane country, and the thing about earthquakes I think that I realized this morning is with a hurricane, you know, it's coming a few days in advance. I was getting ready for work today and wasn't really sure what was going on until, you know, things were almost over. But yeah, this was my first earthquake, and I'm actually over in the area off of Boniface Parkway, and shook us pretty good over there, but here we are on the other side of the city, and you could see how widespread this damage is. And as we've been mentioning all day, it's done damage all the way up into the valley, in the Palmer area on Eagle River. I'm sure that there are plenty of rocks falling down on Seward Highway, so definitely enlightening for me. I'm sure that a lot of Alaskans out there probably weren't expecting one this big this morning, but again, I think that to wrap things up, it's good that there were no injuries that we know of so far.
Well, it's very, very true. And Hank, we're sorry we had to indoctrinate you into earthquake country with one this strong. Usually we try to start people out with, you know, like a 4.2, try to get them eased into it. So when you call your folks back home there in South Mississippi, what's the first thing you're going to tell them about what it's like to go through an earthquake?
Well, my mom's already called me and told me that she's bought my plane ticket home and that they're waiting for me. So, you know, the offer's on the table, but I'm glad that I got this one out of the way, and hopefully this is the one that I can talk about for years to come. Getting broken into what it's like to be an Alaskan and go through these earthquakes from now and then. You know, we all know we get them from time to time on a pretty regular basis. You know, we kind of shrug off the ones that are 4.0, 4.5. Really get up around the 5.0 area before we start paying attention to them. But when one like that hits, it gets our attention.
That magnitude 7 earthquake left tens of thousands of people in this area without power. A declaration of emergency was ordered by Governor Bill Walker and the president, and the Red Cross of Alaska has brought about shelters in communities all across the area. So here in Anchorage, the Egan Center is going to be the place to go. But if you need more information from the Red Cross, I have a number for you. It's 907-310-3460.
The big message from NSAR at the moment is that if you suspect there is a gas leak or you smell a gas leak, you need to get out of your house immediately, call NSAR, and then they'll send a crew to make sure it's safe before you enter. Now, if you look behind me, you'll see the house is looking like a near total loss. The garage area is lit up. They think they may have been able to save that. Firefighters are coming back and forth doing what's called fire follow-up. That's where they're going to spray water on areas that are hot to try and cool them down, to try and stop another fire from starting and potentially destroying the house further.
You know, our team of Channel 2 reporters have been working nonstop since this hit this morning. That's our role in all of this, to try to keep you as informed as we possibly can about what happened and what's going to happen next. And reporter Derek Minnemeyer, part of that team.
Parents who don't think, they just react to save their children. Take a look. Just a regular Friday for Jesse Elmore and his 3 kids getting ready for school.
Whoa, earthquake. I just started the coffee pot, poured myself a cup of coffee.
Keeping it cool for the kids. Just another quake in Alaska, Jesse thought. His 3rd child was downstairs. The frantic race to get the family to safety began.
So the first thing that went through my mind was earthquake. This is a bigger one than we've had in a while. So the dad and me kicked in.
Jesse isn't the only shaking example of parental instincts kicking in. A similar start to the day for the Skillias. Jennifer Skillia was doing her makeup. She was a little late for the dramatic exit.
It was the first earthquake I've ever encountered like that, and I've lived through all my life.
She thought it was the end.
I was like, okay, this is it. Like, this is the end of the world.
Mike, both families are safe and sound, a little bit shaken up, as we all are, but safe. Cleanup projects are underway across Anchorage and the Mat-Su.